A lot of cleanup here today because there's not a lot of stuff going on, but what is going on is pretty horrific. You could probably read the headline that's right there. Biden administration announces door-to-door outreach teams to get Americans vaccinated. That's not an out-of-context little snippet that somebody might take out of a video. No, that's exactly what they announced. They're going to be going door-to-door. The American government is going door-to-door to mark down addresses, names, if you've got the jab or you haven't. Oh, good thing. Oh no, there's not going to be any fucking vaccine passport or anything like that. We're just going to go door to door, which kind of begs the question. It's like, okay, so if you have to sign up, you have to fucking reserve your spot in order to get the jab. Shouldn't they know who actually has it or not? So wouldn't this kind of be a redundant little task force that they're assembling here to get this all done? Maybe there's much more nefarious motives in order to do this. Something smells a little bit off on this one. But yeah, no, it's just about as freaky as you'd fucking think it is. President Biden and other White House officials on Tuesday said the federal government will start targeted community door-to-door outreach in an effort to boost COVID-19 vaccination rules. Remember, guys, it's for your safety. Of course, this is what all of this stuff is for. We want to make sure that you have a safe and secure country, one that looks out for all of your needs. It could be worse. You know what? Joe Biden could be making mean tweets. I'm glad that's not the case anymore, because millions of Americans are unvaccinated, and due to so-called Delta 19 variant that's spreading, that's made Los Angeles and UCLA reinstate mask mandates because it worked so well to begin with. If they really do it again this time, it's going to stop everything. Okay, cool. Do it now, Biden said during a White House press conference. Is he like aware of the Star Wars prequel trilogies and the fact that he's like, I am the Democratic Party, and now he's telling people to do it? Like, is he taking the alternative interpretation where Palpatine was actually the good guy all along? Like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? President said that people will be knocking on doors to get help to the remaining people who aren't vaccinated. Yes, it's help when they start fucking showing, and they aren't yet, showing up with fucking needles to just jab into people's arms, whether or not you've got it or on your way to getting fully vaccinated. Jesus fucking Christ. I laugh because otherwise I'd cry at this infringement of your rights and freedoms. It's part of a community outreach program, he said, that is being set up for mass vaccination sites are being phased out. This should go extremely well. Biden also spoke about how his administration plans to make the vaccine available in more healthcare settings. How about you just do that? Put them in pharmacies, and if that's not enough, I don't know what to tell you. There's literally a pharmacy on every fucking corner, okay? Within walking distance of where I live, I could, just off the top of my head, think of 4? And that's within like a 10 to 15 minute walk, okay? You put them in these places, and if people want to get the jab, they can go fucking get it. You don't need to be going fucking neighborhood to neighborhood with fucking blow darts and going, now you got it. This stopped being about the fucking virus a long time ago. It's all about seeing how much the government can get away with and forcing compliance. We're intensifying efforts to meet people out where they are. Bit of advice you should keep for yourself there, Joe. Younger Americans, Biden added, seem particularly reluctant to get the vaccine. Yeah, we've run the numbers for very obvious fucking reasons. And there are other stories out there which I don't want to really push my fucking luck. All you need to do is take a look at a certain 13-year-old and what happened in a few days after he got the fucking, I think it was Pfizer poke. Yeah. It's out there. Those stories are out there, but they're uncorroborated, and you don't know if that actually caused anything, but you can draw your own conclusions. In elaborating on the door-to-door outreach earlier today, yes, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, and this is the clip that I seen, said it would be targeted by community, a door-to-door outreach to get remaining Americans vaccinated. It is not clear how the administration plans to accomplish this. I think they'll probably go around in vans and look for the homes that don't have blood smeared across the door frame, or perhaps if they do get out, you'll be able to figure out which ones are a part of the vaccination outreach team, because they're going to have little armbands as well. What are we doing here? This is what happens when people don't understand history. The plan is part of the government's COVID-19 response after the White House fell shy of its self-imposed July 4th deadline to get 70% of American adults at least one vaccination shot. Yeah, but what about natural immunity after, like, people have gotten the coof Like, is there any immunity on that? Because I know I'm not a doctor or anything. I'm just, speaking from personal experience. When I got the damn thing, and then a few months later, actually about 5 months later, my parents got it. I was helping them out, and I didn't get reinfected. Or maybe I did, and it was asymptomatic, but who knows? I'm just asking questions. Like, or maybe secretly I got the fucking jab in the middle of the night, and that's why my arms have been falling asleep a lot lately. I don't know. But that was a thing for a while. I seem to remember that. But yeah, no, that doesn't matter. You just have to go ahead and you have to listen to what the government says at all times. Even though these people were screeching from the fucking rooftops about a year ago, I wouldn't do anything that the federal government wants me to do. And then with basically the same people in fucking place, the government has replaced fucking religion in their life again. But yeah, back to vaccination rates, I suppose. According to the data from the U.S., from the CDC, more than 67% of American adults have received at least one jab, and more than 157 million are fully vaccinated. I think that's good. I think that more people are going to trickle in, but I think that's probably about as good as you're going to get, and that seems like it would be over half the adult population, at least what we know are the numbers. Maybe that's partially what these little fucking SWAT teams, the Gestapo, community outreach program. Maybe that's what they're going to do. Just start knocking on doors, start tallying people. And yeah, make sure you don't go into the incorrect neighborhoods if you want to make sure everybody stays safe and secure. Or perhaps you want to test that whole theory of bringing a social worker along with you and go into the wrong neighborhoods and see how effective they are in a non-threatening manner. So yeah, you don't even have to ask the question, what would happen if X president decided to institute this? You don't even have to take the most extreme, if Trump announced anything like this, could you just imagine the outcry of this? Like, this should be story number 1, to be completely honest, because this right here is one of the biggest encroachments I've seen so far since the coup has started. Going to be going door to door. Like, I hope Biden's out there, because he at least wouldn't be able to, for one, travel the entire neighborhood. He'd get winded about 20 minutes into his shift, and then at the same time, if you just walk him to the end of the driveway and then just turn him right back around, you just keep going to the same place over and over again. And if you think I'm being hyperbolic about any of this, yeah, a lot of it, but at the same time, Biden really has just kind of lost it, and his continued deterioration was really put on display over the weekend as well, because, yeah, as you can see by the headline for Breitbart, who I've got a fucking bone to pick with, and we'll get to them at the end of this. Confused Joe Biden takes out notes to answer a question on Russia. Yeah, he's got a really, one-track fucking mind. Like, when the dude wants ice cream, that's all he can see, and if you try to throw him off just a little bit by just asking him a simple question like, what day it is, he's got to consult his fucking little cheat sheet that he keeps in his jacket pocket. Like, the dude is gone. There's no saving that one. They're just gonna have to start nailing in new hair plugs whenever fucking brain cells start escaping. President Biden took out notes of his jacket when asked about the most recent hack by the Russians. Oh my god, the Russians are at it again. Maybe, kind of. During an ostensibly unscripted visit to the farmer's market on Saturday in Central Lake, Michigan. That's cool. At least he's allowed to do something in Michigan. Not a lot of other people are. A woman, unseen in the video, asked the president, with the most recent hack by Russians, would you say that means? Biden interrupted the woman before she could complete her question. We're not sure if it's the Russians, man. I got a brief when I was on the plane. That's why I was late getting off the plane. I got a brief. I was late getting off the plane. I got a brief. And then somebody had to shake him out of his loop. I'll be in better shape to talk about it with you. Hang on a sec. Biden then reached for and withdrew his notes from his jacket pocket. He's so old and finished that he can't even make small talk with somebody. Like, he couldn't even just say, yeah, we're looking into it. We're seeing what's going on. No, I got briefed about it, and I was paying so much attention they had to write it down for me. I'll tell you what they sent me. The idea that, first of all, we're not sure who it is, for certain, number one. And what I did, I shit my pants. Oh, I'm sorry. I directed the full resources of the government to assist in our response if we determine, and the fact that if the director of the intelligence community gave me a deep dive on what's happened, this is obviously scripted because he would never, ever say deep dive in his own personal vocabulary. It's just very, very small words that he can rattle off and then just give the old smile at the end and drop in one of his catchphrases. I'll know better tomorrow. And if either with the knowledge of and or consequence of Russia, then I told Putin we will respond. Oh, we'll just skip all the jargon. The Associated Press and local news affiliates did not report on Biden's consulting of the notes when writing the president's visit to the market in northern Michigan. The Associated Press did, however, report the type of ice cream Biden purchased for himself, because they're real journalists. But yeah, what's this all about? Actually, well, there was a ransomware attack that hit up like 200 different businesses. And where did it come from? Don't know, because it's really tough to actually get to the origin point of a lot of this stuff, especially in a small amount of time. And what did they get? Don't really know. Most of that's probably going to be classified information. And also, if they're good at their job, they probably just went in there, took what they wanted, took a copy of what they wanted, and fucking skedaddled without anybody noticing. So at least they noticed 200 people got affected, or 200 companies got affected by this. President Joe Biden said on Saturday that he directed intelligence agencies to investigate who was behind a sophisticated ransomware attack that hit hundreds of American businesses. Biden, in the same visit to Michigan to promote his vaccination program, was asked about the hack, and then he said, "Don't talk about my vice president like that." Oh no, while shopping for pies at a cherry orchard market, because he's just a regular guy. He's regular Joe after all. Come on, he's just one of those old guys that, he's like your old crazy uncle who you'd like to have a fucking beer with. You'd sit down, you shoot the shit, but you wouldn't let them near your kids. Biden said, "We're not certain who's behind the attack. The initial thinking was that the Russian government, but we're not sure yet," after he consulted his notes. But this is a reprint by Reuters. As you can see, they left out just as much detail, so I'd imagine we're going to get a legit report on this the same time we're going to get that to the Las Vegas sniper report. Anyways, more information that came out. Did you know Trump actually was the one who killed Ashley Babbitt? I know we've been waiting for the name of the officer that pulled the trigger, and it turns out it was the Orange Man all along, if you are to believe Keith Olbermann, who is quite possibly the craziest motherfucker on Earth. Yeah. Because the sad thing is, like, he can say all of this hyperbolic nonsense, the same shit that Rachel Maddow would just spew out. But then as soon as the camera's off, like, Maddow's kind of a different person, okay? She at least had a nice tweet in response after Trump and the family got the coof there at the end of the year, right before the election. She was fairly cordial, but yeah, no, Keith Olbermann was a part of the group that was like, "Oh, you see, COVID actually got Trump with this one. I hope he fucking dies." Like, that dude was nuts. He's got a great radio voice, but there is nothing going on between the ears up there. All it is just a fertilizer pile for a great head of hair. Like, honestly, that dude's quaff is second to none. The deranged Keith Olbermann returned to his balcony Sunday for his most delusional rant since he called for Amy Coney Barrett to be prosecuted and removed from society. Okay, he's pretty based on that take. To celebrate July 4th, Olbermann loudly yelled into a cheap iPad camera that Donald Trump killed Ashley Babbitt, the Capitol rioter who was shot and killed, and the only person who was actually killed that day from direct violence. Everybody else dropped dead of an overdose or a medical condition, or days later of a medical condition or something unaffiliated with what happened at the Capitol Hill. But yeah, no. It continues to be a terrible thing that happened, and we should all just look back on it with the proper set of eyes, that it was as bad as like 3 9/11s and the worst thing to happen to the country since the Civil War. Oh, here's his very base take. Here's the video that enrages the maggots. You know, a little sidebar here. If you listen to rhetoric of certain dictators and certain authoritarians throughout history, somebody who's in power who has a specific gripe against a certain group of people, one of the many things that they like to do is compare said group with vermin or insects, and I don't know why, but that just seemed to jog my memory a little bit. You can go ahead and make your own conclusions, but sure is clever how he like worked MAGA in there. I don't know. I think he's quite a skilled wordsmith. Trump asked who killed Ashley Babbitt, and I answered correctly. Oh, good. At least Keith Olbermann agrees with Keith Olbermann. He was correct on this one. Trump did. They're still in the outrage denial stage. What was this? Someone describing their own projections on reality? The problem is, the Philly 4th of July white supremacist rally means there will soon be celebrating fatal violence. The fuck are you talking about? He's nuts. Who cares? Can't even fucking bother deciphering that. Olbermann is yelling because last Thursday Trump called for the identity of the law enforcement officer who shot Ashley Babbitt as she attempted to breach the House chamber, a shooting in which the Justice Department calls an act of self-defense. Some other little nuggets of wisdom I've heard as to why we don't know who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt, the name of that officer who's in the video camera footage, and why we don't see that, because even though there hasn't been a whole hell of a lot of turnover between the Trump administration and the Biden administration, which should set off red flags left, right, and center, is because one of the running theories out there right now that actually kind of holds some water, at least in my opinion, based on who's been saying them, the person who pulled the trigger, that Capitol Hill officer that day, was a part of Vice President Pence's security team, but that's just between you and me right now. I've only heard it once, but would anybody be surprised if it was somebody who was a part of detail that high profile? Meanwhile, we know every single fucking detail about anybody who has ever pulled the trigger justifiably against any one of those degenerate criminals over the past year and a half. Seems likely. Seems likely. But it's just one rumor I've heard, so could be super wrong. Yeah, we could read the rest of this stuff, but Olbermann's fucking nuts. And it actually segues us nicely into a little bit more about the Capitol Hill riots. And the free man himself, Bill Cosby, who I will still contend to this very day did nothing wrong, says mainstream media are the insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol trying to demolish the Constitution. You can see why they went after him to begin with. And remember, this is from Breitbart, and we use the fair amount of their sources because they think that they're generally fairly good, but we're going to be going in on this one because if you also recall, at the same time, they were the ones who posthumously smeared Michael Jackson by saying, oh, see what kind of a criminal and degenerate he is? He had a tabletop book with child pornography in it. Then you take a look at what they actually claimed, because they were the only ones who had that story, only ones who had that scoop, and yet that book was never in any of the evidence files for any of the court proceedings, and this is the first reference to it. And you look at the book itself, it was one of the most popular tabletop books out there of a collection of different art, and there was maybe 1 or 2 frames of children playing in swimsuits, but that constitutes child pornography if Breitbart needs some clicks. Yep, They do a lot of good digging. That, and also they were running with the narrative at the same time because, there was a certain little fast-talking Jew who was the editor, or at least worked at Breitbart at the time, who really has bad takes about everything, and if you want to know what the worst aspects of conservatism is, you can tune into his Daily Wire show every day. Yeah, he was working for Breitbart at the time, so I guess they're trying to carry on with that narrative. Disgraced actor-comedian Bill Cosby is accusing the media of being insurrectionists. It's the latest headline-grabbing rant from Cosby a week after he was released from prison after a sexual assault conviction was overturned. The comments in response to the backlash of his Cosby co-star, Felicia Rashad, faced after she revealed her relief that a terrible wrong is being righted with Cosby's release. Rashad's public jubilation set off a firestorm. Students and alumni at Howard University, one of the HBCUs out there, historically black colleges and universities, called for Rashad, who is the university's dean of College of Fine Arts, to be fired for her support of Cosby. Under pressure, Rashad posted a follow-up message insisting that she fully supports survivors of sexual assault coming forward. Exactly. Legitimate ones. Real ones. Not just dogpilers and liars and finished old women just trying to cash in one last time. Adding, my post was in no way intended to be insensitive to their truth. My heartfelt wish is for healing. Their truth. Our truth. Whenever you need a qualifier for truth, that's just a long way of saying lie, fabrication. But let's get on to when the cause decides that he's going to go nuclear on the media that smeared him and ruined his reputation and cost him 3 years of his life. The mainstream media... The mainstream media are the insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol. Those same media insurrectionists are trying to demolish the Constitution of the United States of America on this Independence Day. No technicality. It's a violation of one's rights, and we the people stand in support of Miss Felicia Rashad. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? The ones who got off, James Earl Sullivan, you know, the guy who appeared on Anderson Cooper's program months before. He was there. He was one of the infiltrators into the group that got there, wanted to stir some shit up, but nobody was buying what he was trying to sell. And then you got the videos that have been coming out semi-regularly since January 6th, where you have openly people in the Antifa camps just showing how they've acquired different apparel that would allow them to blend into the crowd, like, oh, wear a MAGA hat, oh, wear a American flag bandana, and just put on some stickers fresh today that are totally pristine and definitely won't look sus. Things that we were pointing out at the video footage that kept leaking out at the time, but no, you guys are just crazy conspiracy theorists. There's nothing to that. Yeah. It's political prosecution that's been happening for a long fucking time, and this is one of the most public examples of that, okay? Biden is so goddamn scared of the population that he's putting dissidents that you can be easily smeared because the media is carrying his water right now. Oh, the insurrection, it was so terrible, even though, you know, none of them were armed and they just about overthrew the government. But at the same time, you need fighter jets and nukes in order to properly defend yourself against the government if they wanted to come say, oh, I don't know, go door to door and start fucking forcing you to take the poke. I'm just saying we're not there yet, but we're pretty damn close. So yeah, let's go from the commander-in-chief and all of his friends, at least the ones that are behind the scenes pulling the strings, to a more centralized look at the aftermath, because we got kind of a much more flushed out picture of what happened over the weekend when it comes to actual violence in blue cities, and somebody's looking to pay attention to it, but his plan is not very good, and it's not really going to do anything. It's throwing money at a fire, expecting the wind that is picked up from the throwing motion to put out the flame. It's not going to work, but yeah, we'll see what's up with that. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Catch y'all later.